Good morning, Amberlanders. Let me just give a rundown of or an overview of big and small events in the history of Cameroon. In fact, Cameroon in 500 BC, that's 500 before Christ, Cameroon was discovered by one northern African explorer called Hanno. And how did he do it? He just spotted Mount Cameroon and informed the others that he has spotted Mount Cameroon. That was in 500 before Christ, 500 BC. And this man was specifically from Tunisia. And when they followed up, they discovered that Cameroon was inhabited by the Pygmies. So the first immigrants who migrated into Cameroon were the Bantus. The Bantus were an ethnic clan from northern Nigeria, so who were mostly nomadic, and they needed much farmland to farm. So when they migrated from northern Nigeria to Cameroon, the Pygmies further went into the forest, and by then Cameroon was still, uninhabited. So the pygmies, who were mostly the inhabitants of Cameroon at that time, disappeared from the uh, places, neighboring villages, and went into the forest. And then Cameroon was colonized in 1884 by the Germans, who ruled Cameroon till 1916. And when they were defeated during the First World War, Cameroon was placed as a mandated territory of the League of Nations and further given to France and Britain, or under France and British rule. And in 1863, Africa abolished the slave trade, which has been going on since 1856, since the beginning of the creation of Cameroon. He abolished the slave trade with America because slaves were mostly taken from Africa, from Cameroon to Europe and to America. Then the European nations uh, continued to do it in, uh, several years illegally before it finally stopped. Then on February 13, 1933, Paul Biya was born in Vomeka. And on 1955, the UPC was formed. That's a Union Population Camerounaise. It was a party mostly by the Bamilikis, which was formed, and in 1956 the UPC was banned and people were killed. In 1958, Amadou Ahidjo formed the L'Union Camerounaise and became the Prime Minister of the Assemblée Nationale Législative du Cameroon. He worked closely within the French system but called for complete independence and reunification of the two colonies, that's the French and British Cameroons. So in January 1st, 1960, the Ahidjo proclaimed independence of the Republic of Cameroon in the former French Cameroon, and he was inaugurated as president, and he started working to reunite the British and French territories. In October 1961, a unique referendum in British Cameroon was carried out with the support of the United Nations. The northern part of British Cameroon voted to join Nigeria, while the southern part voted to join the French-speaking Cameroon. And the will of the referendum was respected, though disagreements started existing. Ahidjo finally stepped down on November 1982 without any prior notice. Ahidjo did not give any prior notice to leave the presidency. The reason was they informed the Cameroonian citizen that he had bad health. The 49-year-old Paul Biya finally took over the presidency as someone who has been working closely with the president. And at that time, he had a reputation of honesty and competence. So in 1983, the old colonial town of Victoria got its name Limbe. Then the people of Cameroon started seeing a new side of Paul Biya in this same 1983, which emerged with the increased power that he has acquired. The prime minister on several occasions in the government, the prime ministers and several others in the government were fired in 1983 when Paul Biya took over power. They were said to have plotted against him, and Ahijo too moved to exile in France after several accusations from the presidential office. Then in 1985, President Biya paid a visit to France, and in this visit he sought better and stronger connections to both Europe and America. Then in 1986, Paul Biya was still, I mean, was still allowed the registration of opposition parties, but small democratic changes were made. The names of his own party changed from l'Union nationale camerounaise to Rassemblement démocratique du peuple camerounais, RDPC. The new name was probably to distance himself from further ex-president Ahijo. Then in 1986, Cameroon became the fourth African nation to establish diplomatic relations with Israel. The reason for this act is probably to please the to please the United States of America. In August 21st, 1986, almost 1,800 people were killed in the Lake Nyos disaster, and this Lake Nyos disaster found in the northwest. And what happened in Lake Nyos? Paul Biya gave access for the Israelites to test a bomb to see whether that area had gases. So a cloud of deadly gases suddenly erupted from the lake, suffocating all lives up to about 25 kilometers away from the breakout, and shots were fired into the crowd, killing 6 and injuring several others. And for your information, this was the beginning of degassing Nyos, because Nyos was rich in gas, and Paul Biya allowed these resources to be destroyed. In 1990, new oil resources were found in Cameroon. The Sonaratu was already a prominent petrol and gas company. The new oil and gas were discovered in other parts of Cameroon, especially in the northwest and other regions. And in May 26th of May 1990, the Social Democratic Front, the SDF, was formed without permission from the government. So around 30,000 people attended a peaceful rally in Bamenda. Police tried to get people away from the streets. Riots broke out and shots were fired into the crowd, killing six people and injuring several others. And among these 6 people that were killed on 26th of May 1990, my elder brother, the person I followed directly from one womb, one mother, one father, was among the 6 martyrs that was killed on the 26th of May 1990. And that's why the SDF, the Social Democratic Front of Nijon Frundi, continues to owe me a debt. It owes me, my brother, it owes me a life that was taken away, which he never considered that any life was lost after that. In this 1990, after all these demonstrations, there was the first draft of the multi-party constitution, which set out how Cameroon was going to function at this moment. Because Nijon Frundi was one of those who was supposed to change Cameroon democratically, but he was taken to Fumban and later on deceived to sign an agreement, and from there he was taken to Yaoundé, where he met President Paul Biya, and instead of staying strict on this on our multicultural, multi-party values, instead of change allowing us to continue with our multi-party and democratic views. He finally accepted to be given 500 million to sell out this great opportunity that we had once in our life, and so many lives were lost